Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I was I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm kind of kept up late because of this interesting thing with Nate Parker. I feel like it's worth talking about because a lot of people have a lot to say about it. And I went to read the transcript. I was like, I'm never gonna support a rapist. I made a lot of black people mad because I didn't like. I'm not a big fan of Bill Cosby. I think Bill Cosby broke the law. At the same time, I think there's a statute of limitations, which means that you really can't prosecute him for the things that you're trying to prosecute him for. And so, if you believe, in the law as it's written, then you can't just bend the rules when it comes to a black man. And that's what America kind of does. America changes the rules when it comes to black men. It's like, oh well, yeah, normally we have these standards, but because it's a nigga, we're just gonna be judge, jury, and executioner. And what's unfortunate is that you have a lot of people out here who hate black men, like sisters, some sisters, not all sisters, but you got some sisters who maybe because their daddy wasn't around or because a man hurt their feelings or whatever, or the baby daddy ain't no good, they join up with white lynchers. They're not. They call them They call themselves liberals, but they're not liberals. They're lynchers in many cases, in terms of really vilifying and attacking black men, no matter what. Now, is this happening in the Nate Parker case? I don't know. I don't know Nate. I don't pretend to know Nate. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the truth based on what I'm seeing. I'm not scared of none of y'all. Y'all can come after me, but I don't really care. See what happens is the liberals have lynch mobs. They have a very lynch mob mentality. If you don't agree with what they say, woo! They just literally become like little parakeets. They'll try to hashtag you to death. They'll meme you to death. They'll repeat the same words over and over again. And it's a good organized strategy, but really it's a form of terrorism. It's a form of it's also totalitarianism, if you will, in the sense that it's very, very undemocratic. It doesn't support or promote the idea of freedom of speech or freedom of thought. I'm very much against that kind of stuff, and I'm not. You ain't gonna bully me, whatever. Because this ain't about me. This ain't about the sanctity of Boyce Watkins and me protecting who I am, and me being afraid you're going to make me look bad. It's not about that. It's about the truth. And the thing is, we have times in American history when the truth becomes something that gets you in trouble. I mean, you go all throughout history. There have been many examples where people got so caught up in a steamroll bandwagon that the lie becomes the truth. And this could, in some situations, I'm seeing this happening politically. And so anyway, with that being said, I wanted to know the truth about Nate. I went and I was like, okay, let me read the transcripts of this conversation he had with this young lady back when he was 19. He was a kid. She was a kid. They did something that was stupid. I don't agree. This whole idea of college students getting pissy drunk, really, if you're sending your child to college, encourage them not to participate in that culture, because I have been a professor for over 20 something years, and I have seen students ruin their lives over alcohol. I've seen people become victims of crimes. I've seen people go to prison for things they did while they were drunk that they wouldn't have done if they hadn't been drunk. I've just seen a lot of chaos, and I'm not a fan of that. And I got into fights. I got into a fight with a professor who was actually an alcoholic. I knew he was an alcoholic because I saw him at a place we went to, and I saw him drink probably 20, 30, probably 15, 20 drinks, and I just left. And then I found out later that he got in his car and drove home. And I remember I got into a public fight with him over alcohol because I didn't like the way he was, everything, single thing that the law students were being invited to do involve alcohol. Come to the mixer, come to the happy hour, come to the drink. America loves alcohol, and white people really love alcohol. I mean, if you go back to, I think Ken Burns did a documentary. I know I'm going on a tangent. I hope y'all can bear with me on this. But I was watching a Ken Burns documentary, and you can look it up. I forgot what it's called. But basically, I think he said something in 1836, the average American, you're mostly talking about white folks, because slaves, they didn't count slaves in this. The average American drank something like the equivalent of 100 gallons of whiskey a year, or it was something insane. So you move forward to today, and you've got a real bad culture of binge drinking. And so what happens is all these crazy things happen when people get drunk, and then it becomes his word against hers, and then normal people have to sort through all of this. The grown-ups got to figure out, well, whose penis was where, and who said what to who, and one person like, well, I don't remember anything, but I know that this is what happened. I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's never made any sense to me. I think it's all stupid. So anyway, and I'm doing this. I guess you can call this like bedtime confessions because it's literally 12:30 at night, and I just had to get this off my chest. So but I think it's important to talk about this because I think this brother deserves justice, not just in the courtroom but also in public. You know, this white liberal media, they are the white media. Period. They're going to try to eat him up, whether it's fair or not. And I don't think that's right. I think somebody's got to speak up for this black man, and maybe I'm going to be one of those people. And so here's my analysis. So I read, and I want you to read this. I want you, first and foremost, my advice to you, my opinion is that if you want to know what happened, go find out what happened. Go read the transcripts. We put the transcripts on the site blacktimetravel.com. If you go to blacktimetravel.com, you can read word for word this conversation that he had with this woman. I was reading it after reading the Huffington Post, again, white feminist media interpretation of what happened. Huffington Post doesn't have very many black men in powerful positions. And if they do, they'll have a couple in there that maybe are literally proclaimed feminists. They won't have, like, say, an old school Southern black man or a conservative black man or just a regular black father as a leader. They'll have some guy who's pretty much a liberal, in blackface, a white liberal in blackface. Anyway, so I was reading their interpretation. They were writing like it was like the biggest smoking gun ever. And like, according to the transcripts released by Deadline, Nate Parker said this and said that and this, and I'm thinking, whoa, this brother, he must have, are we talking about a rapist here? Like, what's going on? So I went to read the transcripts, right? I was like, I'm nervous about reading this, but I might have to apologize and eat some crow after I read this. I read this transcript. Mind you, 19-year-old kid now. Didn't know he was being recorded. He was being entrapped, right? She called him up and pretended to be pregnant. Was trying to record the conversation without his consent, which I'm sure there was some law around that said you can't do that, by the way. Now remember, just like in the Stephen A. Smith case, a situation. Remember I told you, they'll let white women break the law and they won't say nothing to him. When Stephen A. Smith, his co-worker, a white feminist, went on Twitter and attacked him, she would violate company policy. She's supposed to be fired for that, but they ignored it. When that white woman went upside Tiger Woods' head with a baseball bat and domestically attacked him, almost killed him, almost murdered him, they didn't do nothing. They made her the victim. So that's the thing. A white woman can break the law and she still can be labeled the victim. Unfortunately, if you're a black man and you're watching, that will never be your opportunity. If you're a young black man, you need to be real careful when it comes to sex. I'm just telling you straight out, there are people out here that will lie on you. There are people out here that will get drunk with you, have sex with you, and then the next day tell a whole different story that you didn't know nothing about. There are people out here that will do everything to get you put in prison. And if you're a black man, an accusation is just as bad as a conviction. An accusation can be just as bad as a conviction, especially to white people, because all these white liberals that claim that they're your friends, they don't love you. If you go, even the white liberals who created Black Lives Matter, if you go to their site, they don't mention one thing. They mention preserving LGBT. They mention preserving women, preserving children. They don't say nothing about black fathers. Nothing, not one word. They just kind of want you exterminated. In the eyes of many of these liberals, that's why I reject them entirely. I'm not interested in being part of the liberal establishment. We might have a few things in common. I'll have a conversation with you. But at the end of the day, black men need their own sovereign space. And those who love black men, those who love us, and we got a lot of sisters out here that love us, and you got to support them. You can't support these old coons out here that are doing this, again, financed by white and Jewish companies. You can't support these coons out here that are rapping and saying horrible things about black women either. You can't support that. So anyway, we got to show that respect, because those are our allies. These are the women who aren't sort of being sucked into the feminist agenda or the extreme feminist agenda. Because if you really look at the way they kind of look at black men, they kind of look at us as Neanderthals, like they should be exterminated. And it just irritates me. It makes me angry. So I'm reading the transcript and I'm reading what Nate said. I'm like, what did he say? I'm looking at his words. I'm pretty analytical. I'm paying attention to every single word. Like, is he admitting guilt? Does he say, like, yeah, I did this, or yeah, I'm sorry, I raped you? I'm looking for something like, that just says that he knows he raped her and that he's sorry for that. And what I instead saw was, what I was reading was a young guy, again, didn't know he was being recorded, didn't know that all this was being a setup. He was basically saying, you were participating in this. Yeah, it was me and my boy and we were doing whatever, which again, it's crazy, but stuff like this happens all the time. And he said, and you were doing this, and this. And he even said something like, it was hard for you to talk because you had a dick in your mouth and you were doing this and that. And I was like, dick in her mouth? Wait, I thought she was passed out. Because the way the media had spun it was the girl was passed out, that they both just decided to lay on top of her while she was passed out. again, I mean, maybe it's TMI, but we all grown. I mean, the way I'm thinking is that in order for you to have something in your mouth and you to be really doing that, it seems like you'd be awake on some level, right? And so my thinking was, I was like, well, at what point did she say stop? And I didn't hear either one of them say that she asked that she stop. I heard him say, well, you were participating. And here's the kicker to me. She didn't remember anything. She said, I need to know, like, what did I do? Who did I sleep with? What was I doing? And he's telling her what happened. Now, here's the interesting thing. And this is why I tell my daughters, don't get drunk to the point where you don't remember what happened. Because if you don't remember what happened, then all you can lean on is eyewitness testimony of what happened. You, at that point, by saying I don't remember what happened, honestly have lost your right to even say that you know what happened, because you don't know what happened. All you can lean on is eyewitness testimony. So if you believe you were a victim of a crime, and again, if you were drugged, if it was some Bill Cosby stuff, that's a different conversation. But you deliberately choose to make yourself so incapacitated that you don't remember what you were doing, but everybody there is saying you were doing this and you were doing that, then I do not understand how at any point I can just say that I was a victim of these crimes that I cannot prove to have occurred. I can also not understand how anybody could tell me that I'm not accountable for everything I participate in while I'm under the influence. And let me tell you an example of why this double standard, white women benefit from it, brothers get ate up from it. Let me tell you why. There was a black man, a young brother, I can't remember this brother's name, I felt so sorry for him. He was 19 years old, about the same age that Nate and this young lady were when this unfortunate incident took place. This young brother took a hit of weed. A lot of people smoke weed. White men making money off weed. Got black men stealing Rikers from selling weed. But white men out here making millions selling weed. Again, American double standard. Took one hit of weed. The weed was laced. So he was drugged. He was drugged. It had PCP in it. He went out. He hit some. He punched a girl out. He did a carjacking and he murdered somebody. And this brother is going to get the death penalty. From what I understand, last time I checked on his case, he's going to get the death penalty. He was as remorseful as you can be. He didn't remember any of it. He said people were telling him what he did. But you know what the court system's saying? They're saying even though you don't remember what you did and what you participated in, and the eyewitnesses are saying that you did these things and this is what you're going to be accountable for. We're going to treat you as if these were your actions and your decisions because you're the one that chose to put yourself under the influence to the point where you don't remember what you did. So I do not understand why, if we're going to apply that rigid standard to a black man, why it doesn't apply to everybody. And that's all I just want to say about this. If you want to know how I feel about Nate Parker, I don't know Nate. I never met Nate Parker. I don't know him even as a public celebrity. I know him as a great actor. I know he's got a white wife. I don't understand that. You'll never see me marry a white woman. No disrespect. That's just not my thing. I would never want to be in the situation he was in. I think that he probably got a little crazy in college. If he was my son, I'd say, boy, you need to quit acting like you're white. You're not white. You can't do what white people do. You have to be cautious because they will lynch your black ass. But really just being a person that believes in truth, I think you need to tell the damn truth. And what I want people to do is that if you really want the truth, now if you want to get on the bandwagon, get on the bandwagon. Most people get on bandwagons because they have a personal experience. They have some experience that they remember that made them mad, that they somehow are injecting into the situation, right? I say anybody who wants the truth, and you're probably in the minority, unfortunately, because the world's gotten so crazy. If you want the truth, go read the transcript. Like I said, we have a copy at blacktimetravel.com. But you can also read it anywhere that you want. And don't be scared of the truth. Because I'm going to tell you, these people are going to try to bully you into taking a lie and making it into the truth. And I'm just not interested in any of that. And I think that this situation is a very interesting example of exactly how they deal with black people differently from the way they deal with everybody else. So when I read the transcript, in fact, I saw him defending himself as if he knew he was being recorded, but I know he didn't know he was being recorded. So to me, I just think that if people read it and from an objective standpoint, they're going to have a different interpretation than what the white media wants to make it into. They really want to make it into something that it doesn't appear to be. I'm sorry that it happened. I'm sorry I heard about what happened with the young lady. I hated hearing about that, but I don't really know how. I really again feel that if if the situation were reversed and a black man got pissy drunk and did something, and and everybody's telling him what he did, and he's saying, no, I didn't, I did something else, and I don't really think it would even get the light of day. I don't think anybody would even want to hear that. So go check it out and just, come up with your own interpretation. So that's it. All right, guys, we're about to get out of here. Don't forget, we got the All Black National Convention coming up in Atlanta. We'll probably be talking about this now. We're going to have a whole lot of strong black people there who have different points of view. Everybody from, I think Killer Mike just confirmed, David Banner. He said he wants to come out. Hopefully he'll still come on out. He'll follow through on that. But if he can't, that's okay. I love that brother anyway. We got other people, Malik Shabazz and, Norman Langham, Mashali Moses, Judge Olu Stevens, who you saw go through that high-tech lynching in Louisville, Kentucky, when he spoke up against the use of all-white juries to send black men to prison. We're gonna have a good time. Atlanta's gonna be awesome. So weekend of September 16th, and you could go buy your tickets at allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. I'm about to go to bed. I'm exhausted. I've been thinking about this stuff for a while, and because people have asked me about it, and I was talking to people about it on social media, and this is one of those times where my mouth gets me in trouble. But I'm sorry. I'm not gonna stop telling the truth, and I don't think you should either. So go tell the truth, and if you disagree with me, tell the truth about that too. That doesn't offend me at all. All right, guys, I'm about to get out of here. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.